Any given Sunday, y'all. Any given Sunday. We talked about it on the live stream. We talked about it on the preview, man. The Giants beat the Browns, got their first W of the season. And listen, this is one way to kick off this rush stretch of the season, man. The Browns defense is a real defense. I don't care what nobody says. The Browns are a decent squad in this league. Offensively, they got a lot of things to fix. And we've seen that in this game. But the Browns heading into it, nobody gave the Giants a chance. I mean, look at it. You look at what every NFL analyst put up there. You've seen the previews around the league. And I'm going to be honest, even me. This morning, though, I did wake up. This morning, I woke up and I said, man, I don't know if I'm delusional, but I feel like the Giants can get a W today. I really do. I feel like they were able to pull it off, and they did. Listen, the best feeling I have from this game, man, leaving this game, is that the Giants battled adversity. Adversity that they put on themselves, adversity that was put on them. It doesn't matter what it is. They battled adversity and came through. What adversity are we talking about? Let's talk about the first 15 seconds of this game. Eric Gray wants to fumble a kick return, give them the ball, and then right after that play, the first play of scrimmage from their offense, they score a touchdown on a deep pass. This is just like a Giants script. And once that happened, we're like, man, like, what else can go wrong? You know, like, this is already down 7-0 over 15 seconds into the game is crazy. Adversity in the first 15 seconds, and they bounced back from that. Not only did they bounce back from that, they bounced back in a great way. That first half, the way that offense ran in the first half, love to see it. Second half, we'll talk about that in a second, but the first half, offensively, man, Malik Nabers is a dog. Malik Nabers is that wide receiver you take on the number 6 overall pick, and this is the reason why you bring him onto your team. I don't care who's at quarterback. I understand, some people might have wanted J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, any of those guys. Malik Nabers is a stud. And when I say he's a guy, he's a guy. The Giants haven't had a guy like this since Odell Beckham. We talk about it all the time, but this, bro, he couldn't get guarded out there. He had the Browns DBs in the gulag, bro. And if y'all play Warzone, y'all know what I'm talking about, man. The Brown DBs were in the gulag, man. Spam that in the chat. Neighbors had him in the gulag, man. And I talked about it, in week 1. And the Vikings right now, hey, they're undefeated. Malik Nabers didn't get in the end zone, but anytime Malik Nabers is playing against a team, man, they just got to get welcome to the neighborhood. Welcome to the neighborhood by Malik Nabers, man. I love what I saw out of him. 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions. He got targeted 12 times. He also had a couple jet sweeps. Malik Nabers is all over the field. And what I like, me personally, is that this is the guy that you throw to all the time. Like, a number 1 wide receiver is a guy that should be targeted this much, and he is. We haven't had a guy that we can lean on like this. Darius Slayton has been the wide receiver 1 for us, but this is a different level. He's on pace for over 1,500 receiving yards. Is he going to stay at this pace? I'm not telling you he is. But to even have over 1,000 yards is something that we haven't had, once again, since Odell Beckham. It's been over 5 years since we had a receiver over 1,000 yards. He's going to do that, and he might shatter that and exceed those expectations as a rookie. This guy has looked great. Those 2 touchdowns, the first one, insane. The way he's able to just control his body and get those 2 feet down. Malik Nabers with that catch on a throw that Daniel Jones didn't make the best throw on. Now he was getting, hit by Myles Garrett on that play. But needless to say, came down with it, 2 feet down. I feel like Malik Nabers is probably one of the 5 guys in this league that can come down with a catch like that. The second one, and we'll talk about the defense after the defense forces turnover and we get the ball. That second one, man, like Malik Nabers, you got to imagine they know that they're going to target Malik and they still couldn't stop him. They still couldn't do it. I had people after last week telling me in the comments, man, now everyone sees it. They're going to double team him. Hey, man, he took over that first half and he's the reason why we win this game. He's the reason. We'll talk about that second half in a second, but overall, man, I got to give my flowers where it's due. Daniel Jones played a good game as well. He did. And I'm not even trying to sound negative by not saying it was a great game. I think he played a great game. He made the throws when he needed to. He didn't turn the ball over. Now, that roughing the passer in the first half before it even all kicked off, when he threw that pick, I was like, it's going to be a long day. It did get reversed. But that's what you like to see because sometimes plays just roll that way. So I'm not going to kill him for throwing that interception. He looked good out there against a good defense where, In my keys to the game, I said that we should lean on the running game. We weren't able to get the running game going, and it didn't matter. Daniel Jones, 24 for 34, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 178 of those in the first half. So that second half wasn't as productive, but he did what was needed to win the game. And that's what you want to see out of Daniel Jones. I'm not saying he's going to be the future. I'm not going to say he's QB1 for the next 10 years. All I'm saying is that Daniel Jones did what needed to be done to win this game, and he's fighting for his job. Once again, I say this week in and week out. Daniel Jones, let it rip. Throw to Malik Nabers. You have a guy like Malik Nabers, let it rip. And he did that today, so I give him his credit. The deep balls is what we got to work on, but overall, man, Daniel Jones looked good against a really good defense. The O-line looked great. Andrew Thomas did have some spotty moments, but overall, they didn't surrender that many sacks. And especially when you consider what the Browns were able to do with their offensive line. I mean, they were struggling all day. But it looks like they did have 2 sacks on us, which solid debut, man. Solid game. Overall, last year, you're loving to have a game like this. And, the Giants O-line has looked good in the first couple weeks. But we were like, hey, when they go up against a real D-line, what is it going to look like? Well, we saw what it looked like today. They're not losing us games. They're not blowing us games. Our quarterback has time to sit there and make some throws. And I'll give Daniel Jones his credit. He was literally hitting small targets, tight windows, and hitting guys in stride. That's what you like to see. The deep balls, once again, we got to work on, but we'll talk about that in a second. Love what I saw out of Wandale. Singletary, don't fumble the ball. That's all I got to say. Don't fumble the ball. Singletary, you're a good running back. You also saw him in the screen game. Shout out to the screen. Shout out to Dayball, man. Overall, listen, we're going to be shouting out a lot of things, but the Giants won a game that nobody picked them to win. So we're here to talk about it. Dayball with the offensive scheme this game. I love what I saw. Now the second half did get, once again, a little slippy, but overall, seeing what he was able to do, dialing up the screen passes when they can, because I feel like over the past couple of years, the Giants is the only team that don't take advantage of screen plays, and it never works for us. Today we saw it work a little bit. You saw him go to his guy Malik Nabers. It was plays that were schemed up for him, and you love to see it. You love to see it, man. Defensively, this is the reason why we won as well. 8 sacks. They took over the game. I talked about in my preview. We talked about in the live stream. I knew Deshaun Watson is not the same quarterback that he once was, and he was getting rattled back there. Granted, their offensive line was not performing well, but Dexter Lawrence is out there eating. Brian Burns making plays, strip sacks. Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't have a sack to his name. I think he has an assist, but he was balling. Azeez Ojulari, welcome back. There's so much to talk about, and obviously with this being a W, the vibes are just good. Listen, we bring out the jacket. When we get dubs around here. That's how I'm treating it this season. We bringing out the jacket after we get dubs, and potentially maybe on big matchups like this Thursday night against the Cowboys. Best believe. Hey man, I'm gonna be live streaming after the game with a post game recap. Hopefully we talking about it after the dub, but we'll be talking about that too. Azeez Ojulari was back. Jason Pinnock with the sack. Andrew Phillips was hurt. I hope he finds his way back because he's a guy that one of the better players on our defense. But overall, once again, they got after it. Deshaun Watson was rattled. This guy was holding onto the ball for too long. The back end had their moments. Deonte Banks had his moments, most definitely. But overall, man, the defensive line, they took advantage of today, and that was the mismatch. That was purely the mismatch. Our D-line gets our O-line. And there's not too many times we were able to say this over the past couple of years, but our D-line dominated, and we were able to get the dub. Shout out to them. Because in that second half, we scored 0 points, but the Giants defense held them down. And even when you look at the first touchdown they gave up, I mean, this is one play after a kickoff return that got fumbled, this defense played well, and they really shut them down today. You'd love to see that. And we know our defense is capable of it. They do it every couple years and every couple games every year. You love to see it. And overall, 3 touchdowns for the offense, the same thing we had last week. Hopefully they continue to build on that. And once again, heading into a Dallas Cowboys team that's 1-2 as well. They did just lose to the Ravens. I'm excited for this matchup. I think the Giants are catching them at a time where the Cowboys are probably going to try to get right. And we know what the Cowboys are for us. We know it. But winning this game and trying to build momentum off of it is probably the best thing we could have had. Best thing we could have had easily. This Cowboys defense is not better than this Browns defense. The Cowboys defense that we're going to face is not the same defense we faced the past couple of years. They have a guy like Micah Parsons, but they don't have the same defensive pieces that they had this past couple of years and a different defensive coordinator. This offense should have the ball rolling a bit, and that's what we're going to need. We're going to need that, man. But enough talking about that matchup, man. Y'all let me know how you feel down in the comments, man. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Hey, man, we got a new logo on the channel, and we're undefeated with the new logo. That's all I got to say. Undefeated with the new logo. Love to see it. Malik Nabers is a stud. I got a video dropping tomorrow as well. I will catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy the dub while it's here. Let's go, Big Blue. Peace.